Hi, Marina.
Hi, Liat. In today's episode, I'd like to ask you, what are inner conflicts? How would you define them?
So I would say that inner conflicts are either different wills, different things that we want that are opposing, and we'll give examples in this episode for people to understand. And it can also be a conflict within our values. And we'll talk about the difference between those two and why it's important to understand that. But before we start, I want to kind of give a metaphor for people to understand why is it important to understand whether or not we have inner conflicts and what they are and how to resolve them. Again, we're in this Masters of Creation podcast and we talk about manifestation. And in order to manifest things in life, we have to align our energy. Okay, we talked about this many times, the spiritual energy, the mental, emotional, and the physical realms have to be aligned. And if whether within one of those realms or between two or more of those realms, there is a conflict, it means that there's an energy, a vibration that is pulling to one side and another vibration pulling to a different side. And what happens if you take a rope and you pull it from one side and the other side, you get stuck. If you pull a rope from the two ends, it doesn't move. Or if you pull, strongly to one side, then it will hardly, but it will go to that side. And that's exactly, by the way, what happens within conflicts. The one that, let's say, will win is the strongest one. Okay. And we'll
Mhm.
give some example to really help people understand. So for example, let's talk about a conflict between something I want and how I feel. For example, I want to get married. Okay. I want to find a life partner. But
Mhm.
within my history, okay, I had bad partners and I had bad relationships. So my mental will, okay, what I want in my, mental realm is having a relationship, getting married, maybe having children, I don't know. In my emotional, okay, my emotional realm, there's a fear that actually, and it's much more than just, okay, so I'm afraid of relationship. It's not just that, there's the fear creates energy saying that it is maybe dangerous for me to have
Mhm.
relationship. Okay, it's not
Mhm.
safe for me to have relationship. And when we are afraid of something, okay, fear is actually an energy that creates some sort of result. Okay, if I'm standing at the top of a building and I'm afraid, I will take a step back and I wouldn't fall, right? It's there to protect me. If there's a fear of relationship within me in the emotional realm, and there's a will, okay, to have relationship, we talked about the rope, which one is going to win? The strongest one. And in our life, more often than not, the emotion is much stronger the mental and the conscious will. I may go out to dates, I may be in short relationships, but nothing will really unfold to a full loving relationship because the part within me that is afraid of relationship, that is, trying to prevent dangerous or trying to avoid repeating old relationship that were not good, will create those relationships to fall apart or me not finding the right person that I want to live with. So, whenever there's an inner conflict, we either stay stuck or the one that is stronger will win. The stronger vibration will be the one that manifests in our life. And I'll give another example from a different realm. We have core values. We started talking about this. Core values are the north stars in our life. What is really important to me? And one of the things that we do in the 12 steps model is we understand our core values. We have a deep inner work there to understand our 3 to 5 main core values. For me, for example, freedom, okay, is one of my core values, as well as love, which is for me also including family and kids, and also abundance. And so when I opened my company, when I became self-employed, one of the things that I thought about at that point was that I want freedom. Okay, I don't want people to tell me what to do. I want to be my own boss. I want to wake up whenever I want. I want to do whatever feels good to me. And later on, when I became a mother, being a freelance, being self-employed was also helping me with family because I could choose, whether or not I'm going to be with my children and how long, I'm going to work, how long I'm going to be with them. So it was in alignment. And on top of that, there's abundance, one of my core values. And when I wanted to expand my business, there was a conflict with the other two because I felt if I want my business to grow, then I need to do more, then I need to go out more, then I need to spend more time and energy and money on my business. So I have less time for my children, taking from my value of family and love. And also it takes time of my free time, okay, which is taking my
Yes.
freedom. And what happened is no matter what I did, since there was this inner conflict in my values, and I have to say, if something is not working in your life, you have to understand what your core values are because there's a good chance that there's some clash there, and that's why it doesn't work. So for many,
Mm-hmm.
many years, I was trying to grow my business, and we talked about this. I was trying to do
Mm-hmm.
more. I was trying to achieve more, to influence more, to earn more, but it didn't work because within me there was this belief that I will pay prices for my freedom, and there was this fear that my children will pay the price of my success. There was a conflict between my core values, which is in a spiritual energy realm, and there was a conflict within my belief system, okay? And there was a conflict within my emotional system. And no matter what I did, and I was doing a lot, I was taking a lot of actions, I was trying to move my company forward, but it didn't work because within me, what was much stronger than the will to influence or earn more were my children and my freedom. So only when I understood that there's a conflict there, that if I want to find a way to align all of them, and the most important thing, I want people to receive from this episode is that if there's a will and there are my core values, okay, there has to be a way that they can all align. One of the things that we were all taught that we need to pay prices. That if you
Mm-hmm.
want to
Mm-hmm.
succeed, then okay, your family won't look the way you want it, and you won't be
Yes.
able to be present with your children as much as you want because there are prices, right? We all learn that.
Yes.
You pay the
And
price.
you'll have to pay a price of time, etc. Also, you
Exactly.
lose
Exactly.
your will of freedom. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. We even, we put it on a pedestal. Like, if you want to be successful, sacrifice so much. And then once you
Mm-hmm.
are successful, you will tell the story of everything that you sacrifice in order to get there. So in my reality, I believe that this is something that is wrong that we were taught. And obviously, if it's in our belief system, we create this. But there's another way. And I have to say that today I can say it from, an experience, my own experience, that it doesn't have to be like this. And once I started understanding where the conflict is, where it's coming from, and ask myself, okay, how can I still have the influence and the income and the business that I want with my freedom, with my family, suddenly something else opened up. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
beautiful things of understanding the inner conflicts. Because once you understand that, you understand there has to be a third way or a fourth way or, eighth way, whatever. There are other ways, but you have to look for them and not get stuck in this, okay, how do I, because it won't work. It's actually part of our mechanism or inner mechanism that is actually guarding us because we are not here to sacrifice our core values. We are not here to sacrifice what is important to us, and we're not here to go about doing things that we are afraid of that might hurt us. So we either understand where the core values are not aligned, and we find a way to have every value align with the result that you want to create, or we
Mm-hmm.
change our beliefs. This is another work that we do along the way that we understand what we want. We understand if we what belief system or paradigms we have that is opposing or not in alignment with this result, and we
Mm-hmm.
change them. We have
Mm-hmm.
tools to change them, as well as our emotions. Okay. We understand where our fears are coming from. We work on that. Again, we have tools for that, so we can work on our emotions. And if I'll go to the fourth realm as well, which is the physical aspect, we also need to make sure that our actions are also in alignment with all the others. Okay, because if, okay, I say, okay, freedom and family and abundance, and I cleared all the beliefs and I worked through the fear, but in my actions, okay, I do things that are not in alignment with my freedom, that are not in alignment with what is important for me as a mother, it won't work. So we have to make sure all the time, and that's why we go back and back each episode on about the four realms and understanding, which vibration we hold for each realm, because the only way to create reality, to manifest what we want, and to do it in a joyful way, in a playful way, in a way that is really filling us up and not draining our energy, is aligning all the aspects. And that's, as I always say, it's where the universe can come into our help and really have the stream of everything that we want, whether it's health and wealth and abundance and joy and love and everything that we want, because we open up all the blocks that are pulling to a different vibration, that are pulling to a different reality, and we realign that to the reality, to the thing, to the result that we want to manifest.
Wow. You talked about playfulness in life, and I was thinking about the dance of life, how we go in different directions. But again, if you ask yourself the questions and you're aware of these inner conflicts and you know there's a way stuckness can be opened up, and there's a way of not living with these inner conflicts, and as you said, to align with our core values and living, having it all, really having it all, and being and owning it and being happy with it, and not thinking that it's too much for us
Yes.
having everything.
Yes.
So
And I'll say that it's really practical. Every time I make a business decision or create a new product or everything that I do, I ask myself, is it aligned with my freedom? Is it aligned with my family? And that's part of my decision-making process. And so it's not theoretical. It's just, when I look at my calendar, I look at this and ask, does it give me air? Does it give me freedom? Or does it take me? And I wouldn't put
mhm.
in my calendar anything that is in my family time or that is part of my me time and my freedom time. So it really part of how you make decisions once you understand all of that, that it comes a very practical tool in your life. So you always make sure you go back to this alignment. You make sure that this is what, as I said, the North Star, this is what guides me toward how I want to live my life and what are the goals that I put to myself that has to be to begin with in alignment with what is important to me.
Wow, it's so inspiring listening to what you just said. So thank you so much for this beautiful episode, Liat.
Thank you, Marina.